Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on another episode on Sunnylanka. Today's episode we're going to be making a requested dish by a few of my viewers, and it is beef curry, Sri Lankan style. So to start off, let's go through the ingredients. First I have here about 2 pounds of beef, and actually it might be close to three pounds of beef, and I've cut it up into bite-sized pieces. And make sure that you're using fresh beef, and mine is boneless, but you could use the same recipe if you had meat with bone in. And the other ingredients that we will need are, it's 1 pandan leaf or rumpa that I've broken up into smaller pieces, a handful of curry leaves, and 2 small onions, and I've sliced them. First I've sliced them lengthwise, and then I've halved them that way, so it's not 2 very long slices, and it just adds a little texture to the dish. About 3 cloves of garlic, and I've chopped them up finely, an equal amount of ginger, and you'll notice that they're chopped up, and we will not be using ginger or garlic paste for this. We do use the pieces of garlic chopped up and ginger. The spices now, it is 1.5 tablespoon of roasted Sri Lankan curry powder, and this is specific to Sri Lanka, so if you can, you'll find it in the Sri Lankan stores, and if not, a very close substitute would be garam masala, but it will not taste the same. The spices are different, the blend of spices are different. There is 1.5 teaspoon of chili powder, and my chili powder is very hot, and therefore I'm only using 1.5 teaspoon, but you could use about a tablespoon if you had regular chili powder. A pinch of pepper. I won't be using all of this, I'll just be using a pinch of the pepper. An inch piece of cinnamon that I've broken down, 4 cardamom and 4 cloves, a pinch of turmeric powder. It's a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder, and we will also need about 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and I just have a spoon in here because it might be hard to see the vinegar. So 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and that's just regular white vinegar. Tomato paste, and 1 cup of thick coconut milk, all for frying, and salt to taste. So let's get started. So first off, we're going to marinate the beef, and for that I'm going to add in the vinegar and all of the spices. So a pinch of the pepper. I don't want to put in too much, a little bit more. Okay. The turmeric, now we can get all of it in. The red chili powder, and the roasted curry powder. And we'll give all of that a good mix. And we can let this sit for about a half an hour at least. And if it's too hot of a day, I would put it in the fridge, but otherwise you can just let it sit in the countertop and marinate for about half an hour. So in the meantime, you can actually get all of your the rest of your ingredients all ready. So chop up your onions, garlic, ginger, and all of that. I have it ready for the sake of this video, but you can do that right now. And I'll see you back in about half an hour. Okay, so now the meat has marinated for half an hour, and I went in and added in the rest of that pepper because it seemed like I could have just used all of it. Okay, so it was a pinch of pepper, a quarter teaspoon. I've used all of it. There's my beef, and now let's just one more thing is have some water on hand. You may not need a lot of it, but just have a little bit of water to create the consistency you want for the curry. So now let's start with a heavy bottom pan. I'm using a clay pot. You don't have to. Just make sure it's a heavy bottom pan. And I'm adding in my oil. Well, not too much, depending on how fatty your meat is. Mine does have a little bit of marbling, so I want to stay on the cautious side of it. And once the oil heats up, you can add in your cloves, cinnamon, and cardamom. There we go. The spices are now slightly starting to roast up. And these are more just the aromatics, so you want to flavor the oil, and that's why I like to put them in first. Some people drop it in after the onions. It's really a matter of preference, but to me this makes more sense. Okay, now I'll start off with the curry leaf and the pandan leaf, rumpa. Sorry for the shaky camera. And my onions. So get all your onions in there. And stir that around. And you see now that I've chopped the onions this way, it makes it a lot more visible in the curry, and they won't, if it's chopped very finely, they'll be lost in the curry at the end, and you want a little bit of texture. It's just, a matter of preference again. Some people don't like onions in big chunks, then you can, of course, go ahead and chop them finely. So I want to sort of get the onions partially cooked or translucent, and then add in my ginger and garlic. So there goes the garlic. And then the ginger. Okay, and I'm going to give all of that a good stir. Okay, and once you start seeing that the onions brown nicely, then you want to add in all of the meat. And make sure to get all the marinated in there as well. Okay. And then you're going to add in your tomato paste. And to start off, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon, and maybe two tablespoons. I am using a teaspoon, but like a tablespoon measure. So two tablespoons. And tomato paste is kind of sweet too, so it balances out the heat. And then give that a good mix. And you want to add in your salt. To taste. Okay, so then you just give that a good mix, and just make sure to incorporate everything. Already smells wonderful. Okay, and then now you know that the meat needs to cook because the sizzle is gone. So now I can add in my water. It really depends on how much gravy you want. You don't want to add in too much because the meat will release a little bit of the water, and you're also going to add in the coconut milk. So I'm going to leave that alone and let it cook. First come up to a boil and then drop it down to a simmer, and while it's simmering I will cover it and cook it, but I'll let it come up to a boil. For the sake of convenience, I switched to a pressure cooker. And that's just to make it a lot quicker and have it ready within the short time. Okay, so once the meat is tender and it's cooked well to the desired consistency, then You can just add in your last ingredient, the coconut milk, and then give that a stir. I'm using powdered coconut milk, and I've diluted in the water, so that's why you probably see some bits of coconut milk that's not dissolved, but it will dissolve with the heat. So, and you can test to make sure your salt is to taste, and this is basically it. So it's done. I'm just gonna warm it up, not bring it to a boil, but when I see the curry warm up, turn off the heat at that point, and it is ready to dish out. So there you can see it's starting to simmer again. You can see the bubbles appearing on the top. And that's my cue to turn off the heat. And let it sit there for about a minute or two before I dish it out. There you have it, folks. Today's dish, beef curry, Sri Lankan style. I hope you try it, and I hope you will enjoy it as much as we will today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Ayubowan.